Hey everyone, so I have an adorable little science news episode for you today. So, we all know that kids don't like vegetables, and it can be a real pain in the ass to get kids to eat them. They're yucky. Well, at least that's the common wisdom. But there's more here than meets the eye. For many kids, they don't really have regular access to good vegetables, and if they do have that, they're often steamed, which can partially disintegrate the vegetables into a pile of watery goop. I'm sure you're familiar with this. When I was a kid, all the vegetables that we had in school lunches, they were always steamed, and they were always kind of watery and like half melted and gross. This is a real shame, because these overly steamed vegetables can make kids think that all vegetables are really gross, when the reality is that vegetables are delicious when they're raw, and almost all vegetables are super delicious when they're cooked, like when you bake them. So this research that I want to tell you about was conducted on over 3,000 school children, 3rd to 5th graders, in 16 elementary schools across Texas that predominantly served low-income Hispanic communities. For the study, each school was enrolled in a year-long intervention program that included a quarter-acre outdoor teaching garden, 18 one-hour gardening or nutrition or cooking lessons for the kids taught by trained educators, and 9 one-hour lessons for the parents. Initial data collection measured, quote, BMI parameters, waist circumference, and body fat percentage via bioelectrical impedance, blood pressure, and dietary intake, i.e., vegetable, fruit, and sugar-sweetened beverages, unquote. So the goal of this study was to see whether or not direct, hands-on exposure to nature, to plants, to gardening, and growing your own food, if these experiences would have any effect on the child's diet. Associate Professor Jamie Davis was the lead author of the paper. She said, quote, a lot of the families in these schools live with food insecurity. They live in food deserts and face a higher risk of childhood obesity and related health issues. Teaching kids where their food comes from, how to grow it, how to prepare it, that's key to changing eating behaviors over the long term. Behavior changes can be difficult to achieve, especially long term. Changes to health parameters like blood pressure may take longer to manifest. Getting children to eat more vegetables can potentially set them up for long-term success, unquote. After each school participated in this intervention study for 1 year, the student metrics were taken again. This data was compared to the original metrics and the results analyzed. And as it turns out, these experiences with nature, with the garden, with cooking, led to a significant increase in the children's average daily consumption of vegetables. That's awesome! Davis discusses the findings, saying, quote, we've been able to introduce children to a wide variety of vegetables that they've never had access to. Parents I talk with ask, how did you get my kid to eat kale? But when they grow the kale from seed and learn how to prepare it in olive oil and bake it into kale chips, they love it, unquote. So this study and these findings are pretty awesome because it's one of the few health interventions for school children that have actually shown positive results. Unfortunately, there weren't many benefits aside from an increase in vegetable intake. There wasn't a corresponding increase in fruit intake or a reduction in the consumption of sugar-sweetened drinks. And there was also no significant changes to any of the biometrics, like waist circumference and blood pressure. Furthermore, in their discussion, they mentioned that parent participation in the program was extremely poor, at just 7% of participating parents coming to 1 or more classes. The most common reasons given were that the parents just didn't have adequate transport or enough time in the day to participate. And this is really sad because, I get it, that's totally realistic. Parent involvement in the child's life and diet is super important, and it can be the difference between a lifetime of good habits and good health, or a lifetime of bad habits and bad health. And we know that our lifestyle plays a huge role in this. We know that overworking, being too busy, not having time to cook real meals and resorting to fast food or convenience food like microwave food or something like that, all of this stuff degrades our overall diet quality and our overall health. It's realistic that you would expect poor parent participation, but it's still really sad. And it's I don't think it's the parents' fault necessarily. I'm some degree of fault, yes, but I think this also highlights larger systemic issues. The reason the entire country seems to be an obesogenic environment at times is, because of stuff like this. So, as you can tell, there's still a lot of work that has to be done in this realm. But I wanted to share the study because the findings are a humble tidbit of happy and wholesome news. If you have a kid, and you can set up a garden in your lawn or even on a windowsill or something, that's an awesome opportunity to expose your kid to nature, to the art of gardening, and to the dignity that comes with being able to grow your own food, and most importantly, to a healthier lifestyle that integrates homegrown vegetables into their diet. It's effort like this, one step at a time, that can make things in the long term a lot better for everybody.